This one. Let's see here. True repulsive. So far, how you like this type of sutra teaching? Is this sometimes this is too in depth, right? After this, we may do some short sutra, more practical, because this one was spoken in the first century BC, so their mentality is still far back. See. Hi, I'm Stephen.
Mo Pak Thầy, how are you doing?
Welcome back then. You busy?
Hi.
Yeah.
Yes, been busy running my daughter around. And then, of course, tonight, she has to get a good night rest and then up early again tomorrow morning for practice.
So will she go to what the trick or treat, right? For Halloween? Or she too young, too old to do that?
She hasn't gotten in it too much, so.
She's 15, right? 15 or 16, right?
She's 15, yes.
15. And she can bring Victor and Kelly, right?
And Kelly, correct, yes.
Yeah, they I think they. Let's start. Okay. So your older daughter, so when she little, you took her out every year until when?
Well, this year she decided she didn't want to go.
Too old?
Yeah.
Oh, really? She's 16 now?
15.
15. So she recognized she getting older, right?
I want her to go. I like to trick or treat.
I
Oh,
trick or
really?
treated in high school, and you know what? We trick or treated.
Oh, really? In college too?
In college, I went to a women's college, and so we went out.
But you have to go to the safe community, right?
Yeah, well, it was a college where I went to school. It was like a college town, so it was kind of not a big deal that the college kids were out trick or treating.
But now they have what they call the candy with
Yeah, I don't know, but they say that, but I've never known any drug dealers to give drugs away for free.
yeah.
Like it's more of a myth. I don't, in all the years, like between having your candy x-rayed or drugs and drug dealers do it to make money. They're not doing it to like poison.
And all the stories, whether it's poisoning or something, maybe it's always like the parents or someone involved with the child manipulating their candy for either like a story or
Yeah,
like hurt them. So
Munchausen by proxy.
yeah.
I know when it was in Philadelphia, when it was layman many years ago, I think in the late 80s, in Philadelphia, big city, and they tempt the children so that they hook up with, so that the children would be hooked up, and eventually they control those children to sell drugs for them. You know what that's, right?
I mean,
Does that
I
happen
know
everywhere?
some of that, like that's gone around for years. I don't know how much of that is necessarily urban legend versus like, I know drug dealers do very much recruit kids. I don't think Halloween is like drug dealer target day.
Really?
Yeah, I think that's just more of a people get into worrying about going to strangers' houses and you don't know who your kids are talking to. So I think it's really easy to build fear and, but I'm sure there is at some level that of course, yes, there are drug dealers out trying to recruit children. to sell drugs.
Mhm.
So I think it's probably.
Anyway, yeah. Okay. So please. Number 27.
True recluse. The Blessed One said, a man becomes a recluse by the destruction of the floods, sensuality, desire for rebirth, personality, belief, and ignorance. Yet he also said he is known in the world as a recluse who has these four qualities: patient, moderation in food, relinquishment, and being without possessions. Now, these four qualities are also found in those who are still imperfect, in whom the defilements have not yet been totally rooted out. This too is a double-edged problem.
So you understand this is a key question. You understand this?
Yeah, I think it's about renunciation.
Hmm. You understand this?
Yeah, it just, yeah, it's, you renunciate and, but you can still have the roots of, so you may have given up a certain amount of life, but, or a certain amount of attachments,
Mhm.
but you can still have the defilements in your mind where anger or hatred could still potentially arise.
Mhm. So one thing is they denounce, right? Denounce society, denounce the anger, denounce personality belief and ignorance. And meantime, right, whoever stay in the world, right,
Mhm.
still have this kind of quality, right? Patient. Yeah, most of us patient. Moderation in food has been the consume the food in moderation, the nourishment, and being without possession is not easy. Not easy for the people. But some they have a kind of simple lifestyle. Yeah. So he said that conflict in for those who still imperfect, right? And that's mean they still have defilement, but they still have those kind of qualities. So it's no bit different from those kind of cultivator.
Mhm.
Is that conflict there?
Well, I mean, I guess you could be so far on your path, but still not have a few of those conditions uprooted. So you may have denounced it or renunciated from it, but if you're still haven't, there's still a few things left to uproot, and so it's a double-edged sword. Also, I guess certain ones are probably more triggered by being with outside, maybe with outside people. So I'm guessing also being a recluse kind of may make that harder to know if those certain qualities have been uprooted.
About people in the West with little possession of probably it's not easy, right?
It's not easy.
In the people in the West now, right? We get used of being convenience for everything, cars, cell phone, and so forth.
Those are my favorite people to study, are those sadhus, those pretty much homeless sadhus that are just so happy with nothing.
I love that's my favorite thing.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not easy, right? It's not easy unless.
No, one of my favorite documentaries, I may have shared it with some of you, is Above the White Clouds, about the Chinese recluse monks. And yeah, they even wear, their robes are the ones that are thrown off by other monks. And they live way up in the mountains and only eat very specific amounts of food, and they don't talk to each other. And it's So it's really interesting to study them, but obviously these are very, very advanced people.
Yeah, yeah. In this type of capitalist society or a country, it's not easy. People will talk about more about investment, stock,
Mhm.
and so forth.
Both of the statements, okay, were made by the Blessed One. The first is an inclusive statement, whereas the second is that of the characteristics of the inclusive.
So for the first one is just inclusive statement that that for them, right? They need to let go of attachment to sensuality, personality, belief, ignorance. But this one, the next one is just a general characteristics of whoever, whether they live in society, whether they take up to the mountain. Yeah, it's feel hard. It's feel rare for me to hear in this society to hear that someone take up to the mountain or to the forest to do some sort of personal cultivation. The Indian people, Indian American people, they do that one, right? You know about that? Yeah. Okay, and Stephen, yeah, would you like to read next, please?
Yes, more for that. The Blessed One said, if anyone should speak in praise of me, my teaching, or the order, you should not on account of that be elated. Yet he was so delighted when Sela, the Brahmin, praised him that he magnified his own virtue and said, a king, Sela, am I, the king supreme of righteousness. The royal chariot wheel of righteousness do I set rolling on the wheel that no one can ever turn back. This too is a double-edged problem.
You understand that?
Kind of half-half, I guess.
What's meant by double-edged problems? So the first one, right, when someone praise the Buddha, right, he say, "Wow, don't be excited," right? But the second one, someone praise him, the Brahmin praise him, and say, "Okay, yeah, yeah. So you praise me because I have my virtue, right? I'm a king supreme of righteousness."
Yes, kind of like a bragging rights.
Yeah, bragging. So is that in conflict?
Yes.
Because it's a belief in self, or it's ego driven.
But sometimes even, especially when we talk with the children, we may talk in different way. When we talk about our achievement to our parents, right? Whoever we respect, this is different. Yeah, for the children, like for example, right? Our student, okay, I have this accomplishment, so that we can set a good example for them to follow. But for other people, they know me, they know as well, or other people, um, they need some type of teaching, right? Being humble. So the Buddha provide that type of teaching. So depend upon the situation, depend on who we talk to, and this makes sense to us too. Depend who we talk to. Sometimes people may think that we brag ourselves, but not at the case. When we talk to the younger one, to show them this is our achievement, this is our accomplishment. It's not boasting, but to encourage them follow our path and so forth. But sometimes we humble about our achievement. It depends. You like to read this?
Both statements are correct, but the first was made to set forth truthfully and exactly the real nature of the teaching. The second passage is not spoken for gain, fame, nor in the biased way, nor for the sake of what was spoken with compassion and with knowledge that thereby free Brahman would attain.
It's clear now, right? Hmm. Yeah. So the first one talk about the humbleness, right? That's the virtue. The second one is just set an example for them to follow. When we talk with the children, the students, who deserve this,
Who deserves punishment? The Blessed One said, doing no injury to anyone, well full of love and kindness. Yet he also said, restrain him to encourage him to be perfect. Now restraint means the cutting off of his teeth, completely, and so forth. If the first statement is correct, then the second cannot be right.
same pattern. How is that? It's complete.
It's a conflict.
Complete.
Do no injury yet, cut off.
In the past, few thousand years
Oh,
ago,
yeah.
that punishment in the old ancient times. So you
So
understand how,
maybe more like discipline or correct someone maybe.
I think there's one story that a king, after he became Buddhist, and he said that he came to see the Buddha and complain. Before, I could punish anyone, especially the thieves, the criminals, but because now I have taken the 3 refuge and 5 precepts, especially the first one, no killing, so I cannot punish them at all. How could I do that then? How could I run my country? How could I govern my country? So would I say, for example, it's in the second one. As a king, you're supposed to run the country in a righteous way. You need to punish the one that need to be punished. You need to give the award or rewards the one that worthy to get an award. Because this is his responsibility as a king. So here, one thing is related to morality, spirituality. Another thing is in secular life. Right. So let's say even if we're so compassionate, right? Yeah, definitely we need to develop that compassion. What happens if our students in the classroom they mess up? We keep silent, or what do you think? What should we do? Can we be compassionate with all kind of students? They jump up and down.
I'm way more compassionate when they're sitting in the hallway.
How?
Like if it's students that would not normally act that way, I would be extremely compassionate.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on with
Yeah.
you? But if it's one that does it all the time,
Yeah,
consequences.
yeah, that's why. You see, that's not in conflict with our own mentality, but how we deal with things, how we deal with other people, depends on the situation. So, okay. So, you like to be next, please? Go ahead, please.
Okay. To do no injury is a doctrine approved of by all the Buddhas. The second injunction, however, was used figuratively. It means restrain the agitated mind, encourage the thoughtful mind, restrain the unwholesome mind, encourage the wholesome mind, restrain unwise reflection, encourage wise reflection, restrain wrong practice, encourage right practice. The noble to be restrained, the noble encouraged, the thief, the evil-minded one who desires pain, fear, and pain, to be restrained, and the honest man, the mark who desires honest for the defilement, to be encouraged.
Clear now, right?
Yeah.
How? How clear?
Very clear. Yeah. It's very,
Yeah, ideally, right? Ideally, we need to develop that type of loving kindness, compassion, and no harming. That's what we're working on. So in practical sense, yes, we have to deal with those people that need to be punished if they mess up, right? So this is just There's no conflict at all. You want to read? Everyone read together. Okay. Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead. Now.
Now, we come around. The house, vulnerable. Here is the problem.
Okay. Go ahead. That's one.
Those great kids. Very hard. But it be up. Very fine. Fine. Very intention. Very death.
Understand now? Why? How? As a king, right? You need to perform the responsibility. Yeah. Okay. So.
Is that like justice type?
Hmm?
Is that like justice? Is that how it would be described? You would put it on the word?
Yeah. Let's finish the last one. You can see. And Stephen, can you read the last two one, please?
Yes, Mofate. Is then Nagasena, the execution of robbers, part of the doctrine laid down by the Tathagata? Certainly not, O king. Whosoever may be put to death, he does not suffer execution by reason of the opinion put forward by the Tathagata. He suffers by reason of what he himself has done.
You understand now?
Yes, Mofate had it. He's basically learning that by doing things, he realized that he has to think no and basically train his mind that basically what he done is wrong. And by that in itself, he's basically suffering for the wrongdoing.
Again, Buddhists against the capital punishment. There's no way. There's way for us to encourage capital punishment at all. But as a king, he has a responsibility to handle his people. Otherwise, it's be chaos. You remember, the super dome after the Katrina? You heard about that? You heard about that, right?
Yeah.
It's just so chaos, right? After people went there and so chaos that cannot control. If we live in the chaos society, we will more harm than help others.
And that's a different kind of too. It'd be hard to put someone in a life.
Let's come back to the question, right? The thing that we discussed before.
Yeah, I mean, the resources it takes to keep someone alive, I'm sure back then, you really had to weigh out the consequences of like, I mean, and we still face that in Western society, like
Cheaper
what's.
to keep someone in jail for life than it is because of all
The appeals and yeah, I mean that system's messed up. But I'm just saying, the whole system definitely is messed up. But I'm saying it is a consideration though, and then of course back then I'm sure there weren't lengthy appeals and yeah. So
yeah.
Yeah, I can come back to the discussion we had before. Could a Buddhist be a soldier, right, to carry arms to protect country? We talk about that. Could we? Right? The first precept, no killing.
I couldn't.
Huh?
I couldn't.
Actually, I just read the story. That's one lady in Ukraine. She was pregnant and she's in the front line to protect her country because her country was invaded by the Russia. So.
But in her mind, her country is her family.
Yes, of course. If this is what our case, could we?
And I guess too, like, there's a reason the temples had border monks in training. Yes, first precept is to not kill, but to see greater harm and to not wish suffering or ill will, and the intention of the offense or act
But still,
outweighs the
yeah,
killing.
that's the ideal one. But in reality, when you go there in front of the battlefield, you're on the front line. For that moment, you cannot control much. Either you kill other kill you. So yeah, so that's why it is related to what we call past karma. If we don't create that type of kill karma, we would not be in that kind of situation. Like I used to tell you, I was born during Vietnam War. But in my life up to now, I never hold a gun. I think that in the past I have not involved to the kill karma. You understand that? Many of my friends they were. So that's related to the karma. So that's why if we don't create that type of karma, we step out of the games. And whoever create that's their problem. Or there's many ways for us to protect country. When we encourage people to live in the healthy way, in the harmless way. We got people in the virtual way. That's the way we can protect the country too. There's many ways. Everyone has different role in society. Because we don't need to be on the front line. There's many of them, all of people. We can be in the back. Yeah, instead of holding the view. You understand that, David? David he came from St. Louis. And that's why I used to tell, especially the young one, if you would like to join the militaries, I say, okay, that's okay. If you really want to protect country, just go for National Guard or Coast Guard. Just stay around country. And so you watch out for the bad guy, for people. That's you can contribute. That's the effort instead of all the when you go overseas, it's just pure dangerous for your life. I don't know whether I mentioned about that one lady. She got back to the state already. She went to Afghanistan. Her parents freaked out. Her parents so afraid of her life. Or doubt they doubt her life in Afghanistan. Now she got back to the States. She worked for Microsoft. But anyway, it's still dangerous when they go overseas. So everyone has different role. So if we want to help out the community and society and nation, there's many ways. We don't need to be in the front line. So we can. Yeah. Otherwise, it's not easy. When we put ourselves in that situation, we have no choice. And again, don't create that type of karma. If we create that type of karma, if we lead us to that type of path, and I have seen so many people, even after the Vietnam War, it's about more than 40 years, they still have the anger. They just have a lot of resentment, especially the older generation. And now I'm talking about the one that was involved in the killing.
I think now that's diagnosed as PTSD.
That's the one. Remember I told you about if we harm someone, let's say if we took their life, their spirit may follow us. And in the West, they would not talk about that. It is because they may not believe that. But in Eastern religion, especially Buddhism, yes, when we harm someone else, when we took their life, their spirit may haunt us. That's why many Tibet, they have a type problem. Drinking, smoking, and so forth. Because those kind of image, the image that they harm all, they shoot all the people, and so forth, and so horrible. Mess up them.
Well, so one of the interesting things I kind of recently learned about it is, so when you're in those situations where you're completely just working to save your life, you're not actually like you're not processing it in certain parts of your brain. So anyways, you get traumatized and with these certain thoughts, and then since your brain hasn't like fully processed it, so later on what happens is it stays in your short-term memory, So rather than it having like cycled all the way into past memories, it stays into your short-term reactions so that, let's say you were in some sort of explosion or something, and anytime you heard a loud noise, your whole body reacts. And in the way that it was when it saved your life, because it's short-term memory. And so, and that's kind of how.
Yeah, I know. Whenever I watch the YouTube video clips about the war over there, they use the phone to drop the grenade down, whether it's in the Russian soldier or Ukrainian soldier. They're victims of war. So, yeah, so it's horrible.
My dad, he makes fireworks. He doesn't like the. There's no on 4th of July. He was actually a medic in the Vietnam War.
How he was?
And I have a really strong childhood memory of, like I was a kid, and when you're a kid, your parents take you to the library and you get like library books, and I didn't even know what it was about. I just got a library book that was about the Vietnam War memorial, the big black wall with the name on it, and he was reading it to me. Probably not. And he told me never to join the military. He said, never become a soldier.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah. That's what he told me. He told me about people with like their face burnt off and stuff. When I was 7, so like it was.
Yeah, when I was little in Vietnam, during Vietnam War, when it's almost done, in my neighbors, just many of them they just graduated from the training, and 3 months later they died. Right before the end of the war. It sounds in Saigon City. I live in the big neighborhood. At that time, I didn't know, but later on they recognized us. It's terrible. It's terrible. And it's really sorry for the wars going on now.
So genetically too, you also carry that. So they've shown how genetically that the parents can be exposed to a certain level of trauma, and then the child has the same traumatic, like somatic response that is passed on to you too. So whatever it is that he felt very much lives in you. We all have that, whatever our parents went through, or we all kind of carry some of that. Yeah.
Anyway, that's why I used to tell the youth, the young people, especially the guy, when we go in that. When you get involved in that, you break your own karma, and this will be prolonged, not only with lifetime, but the next one too. Those couple of anger, those couple of resentment. So anyway, let's go back to here. This is the responsibility of the king, responsibility of a president, a governor, and so forth. It's not easy when you put ourselves in that type of situation. Okay, so
Dismissal of the order. It was said by the Blessed One, I harbor not anger nor sulkiness. Yet he dismissed Sariputta and Moggallana with their disciples. Was it then not in anger that he did this? The Tathagata did dismiss the monks, but not in anger. It was due to what they themselves had done that they were dismissed. As the great earth does not feel anger if a man stumbles and falls, it is the man's own fault that he stumbles. So too the Blessed One does not feel ill will of any kind. He sent them away knowing it will be for their good, happiness, purification, and deliverance from suffering.
Mm.
So yeah, that's definitely the strategy I take when I teach class. I'm not mad, but that's like you're being too distracting. Like I'm not mad, but you can't be distracting. Go.
Mm. Yeah, it surprised me some teaching, some story here I have not even read this, but for the Sariputra and Moggallana, they were the Buddha left hand, right hand disciple. So probably sometime the Buddha let them take care of their own disciple.
Is
The
it?
story, why did he dismiss them? I don't know the story.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I need to read this. Probably I don't know. Let me read that story later on. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Buddha.
Mhm.
Which one is, so if they're kneeling in front of the Buddha, which one is which? How
In
do
the front. In the
yeah,
front there,
so yeah, which one is which in front of
the one that put the palm together is Ananda.
Okay.
The one that is somehow you can see his face, right? Um, uh, his face is more stern. That Mahakashipa, you know, don't know.
Okay, so the ones that, so
Palm
I
together,
I
that's
was
Ananda.
thinking of the, and so maybe it's different by tradition. I know Reverend Nanda had said, like, he had pointed to the two of them, and I think one maybe had a lighter skin than the other, and it was Moggallana and Sariputra.
No, we don't talk about that. I
Is
mean,
it-
talking about.
Is that
No, it's different. So the
It's
front,
different.
in the front there.
Oh, in the front
Ananda,
there.
you know
Oh,
Ananda,
yeah,
right?
out there I know, but so I didn't know if those two, are they always situated in a certain way that you know which one is which?
Actually, after Buddha and the Nirvana, that's mean after Buddha passed away. Those those were the one that uh, compiled the first Buddhist teaching. Mahakashipa, he was the leader to convene the first Buddhist council. Mahakashipa. Yeah, later on we can study about his life. But Ananda, because he have good memory, when he was Buddha dependent, that's why he was invited into that convent, that meeting, the first Buddhist council, to recite all the Buddha teaching again. But that's why it has this two there. But most of the time, Shakaputra and Moggallana, according to the history,
So I just didn't know if there was a certain way, like if you looked at a statue, if you knew that it was those two.
you can recognize them.
Yeah.
They are the same. No, they're the same age. Both of them, sorry, they are the same age. Shariputra and Moggallana, they're the same age. They friends since young.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so yeah. So I don't know the background of this story. Maybe this again, but no matter what, the Buddha never show any kind of anger. Yeah. And even Puja too. One day, I don't know whether you know the story that one day one monk accused him wrongly. And so Sri Puja went to talk to Buddha, and even that monk say that his mind is like the earth. Whoever stumble on, whoever step on, whichever thing that people will put on the earth, that is dirty or uh, pure or clean, the earth accept everything. So his mind. So that's what about Sri Puja. He has that type of stable mind, level mind there. Okay, so let's move on. And okay, and Stephen, can you just please?
Yes, more about that. The murder of Moggallana. This was said by the Blessed One. Moggallana is the chief of those among my disciples who possess supernormal power. Yet he was beaten to death with clubs. Why did his powers fail him? That, O king, was because he was then overwhelmed by the greater power of Kama. Even among things that are beyond the scope of the imagination, one may be more powerful than the others. Among the things that are unimaginable, Kama is the most powerful. It is precisely the effect of Kama that overcomes and rules the rest. For no other influence is of any avail to the man in whom Kama is working. Out is inevitable result. Just as a man who has been found guilty of a crime will be punished, and there is nothing his relatives may do to prevent it.
You understand the story?
Yes, Mofate. I think it's just pretty much karma, just whatever he did in the past, now he's paying it back. No matter how, now that you're living, no matter how physically powerful you are, you cannot overcome what you have done, and you just got to pay back your karma. Mofate.
You know the background of this story?
Not completely, no, sir.
No, you know. So the background is that yes, you know, Mogarana, right? Remember the story that he used his second power to help his mother who was hungry wolves.
Oh,
Remember
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
After he attended the ninth one, after he became hard, but actually he could display his supernatural power. But for others, the Buddha prohibit them, except him. So he helped the Buddha a lot in many instances.
So
But-
after he was killed, does he goes away? He's
You know,
He's-
after he attained Nirvana, that's all. The people kill his body, but his mind is still pure. Yeah. So
but so he doesn't get reborn.
no, because he's done all
Yeah.
this karma. So the story is that in one of his past life, somehow he made the plan to kill his own parents. That's why he had to pay back the price. And here, yeah, in Buddhism, remember the more serious one, right? The more serious crimes that we kill our parents. That's the most serious crimes. Yeah, some people may misname the Buddha or whatever. Yes, it's kind of karma, but not much serious than the way that we harm our own parents in Buddhist view. Because they are the one that give birth to us, the one that took care of us until we mature. That's the simple view. But go back here. So in this story, right? You see, so even he has psychic power, he could not handle his own karma. So it's like the criminal, right? He created the karma, and he come to be punished. So nothing his relatives and even himself could handle, could do anything else. That's why we have to be careful our own karma. That's why I kept mentioning that, especially for the killing karma, don't involve that. Last week, I went to Houston, and this one lady, she invited me to go to her chicken farm to do the prayer for her family, her family. Because besides her farms, she just got the house that her husband renovate. So that's a Buddhist tradition. So she invited me to go there to do the prayer for her. The spirit strength. You may not believe that. The spirit strength phenomenal. The strength thing is that, usually whenever I do the ceremony, I will sprinkle the water, the blessing water with the mantra. since there was a monk, when you pick up that flower, I don't know whether you remember that. But when you pick up that flower and sprinkling the water, somehow, because that flower is some kind of partial flower, so it dropped one breath. I mean, that I just hold the what you call the stem, and the flower itself will fall down. In Buddhist view, it's not good sign. And what happened then? And the candle somehow, because it's a new house, so we don't have many utensils, so they use the plastic cup to put the candle in. And what happened when it's done? It burned. It burned the plastic with the table. And unfortunately, the table is probably about $20 or $30. Not much, but again, it's not this side. That's why I told her, the friends that invite me, that because of my respect to you, that's why I go there to pray, do the prayer. Otherwise,
I had a really interesting thing happen with, so, we got this other young monk from Sri Lanka. And I'm helping him do all the things that it takes to assimilate him here and whatever. So Reverend Nana had gone to do something, and I was going to teach him how to use the weed eater. So, but we get a phone call. Reverend Nana calls me. He said, "Oh, one of our good members just died. I need you to take Bante to go pray over his body." So it was, I think they were maybe Burmese. Anyway, so, which is kind of a strange thing for me doing on a Thursday night, going and praying over a dead body, but okay. So he does a beautiful service, and I just sit at his feet, and pray that this guy, takes a higher rebirth, and that his transition is not all the things. Well, so the strange thing is, the next morning, my good friend's husband died the same time I was like saying, like ushering this other person, or in my thoughts, all the people that they take higher rebirth, and that they do have to be peaceful. I don't know what kind of interesting coincidence.
That's why in Buddhism, what they call the right livelihood, it's better first to stay away from those kind of human animals, of course, human trafficking, and so forth. This is the more severe one. Anyway, so it's better not to involve with that type of karma. Yeah. And Stephen, you follow our story, right?
Yes, motherfucker.
So we cannot run away from our own karma.
Secrecy of the it's said by the Blessed One, the Dharma and proclaimed by the Shem for is way not there. So why is the recitation of the yoga and only in the presence of people? Why is the Aga closed included to people?
Because monk. Yeah. Vinaya Pitaka, that means the compilation of the Buddhist monks' rules and precepts. This is what the Vinaya Pitaka is about. So in Buddhism, have three Pitaka. The first one is Sutra, that means all the teaching, most of the teaching Buddha. Second one is the Vinaya, that means the compilation of the precept, the rules, mostly for the monks. The last one is the Abhidhamma, right? Abhidhamma basically for the the commentaries of those sutra. You don't know the word patimoksha, right? Patimoksha does mean the special liberation. In the way that, let's say, if we keep the first precept, no killing, right? Killing, we won't do any kind of killing karma. That's mean we liberated from the killing karma.
Yeah, isn't moksha directly translate to liberation?
Moksha is liberation. Yeah, party is special. Yes, yeah, special is liberation. So whichever precept we keep, will be liberated, will be free from committing those karma. Make sense? Or if we don't steal, right? And no one harm us, no one put us in jail. We're free. We can fulfill type of karma. That's what moksha is about. So in this sense, we can ask, why the Vinaya, that means the precept, is so exclusive, is for the monk only, not for the public. Because for the monks, for us, we have more precept to keep. Yeah, but somehow in the traditions, right, the young one, before they become an officer or before they get married, they would be a monk for a while, 6 months, 9 months, or 1 year, so that they can know, they can discipline themselves, they can live with like a mindful life. But for lay people, yes, the most they can keep is the 5 precept. So that's why it is more exclusive for the message community. For example, for me, as monk, I cannot go to have party. No way, no way. That's just one of the precepts, the minor one. Yeah, I cannot sing a song because it helps us to maintain mindfulness, to maintain our deployment in a calm way. You may be surprised that some monks in Vietnam, they can play soccer. Maybe surprised. Yeah.
I think the word ordain, I heard this the other night. So to ordain means actually like to protect the mind. It's sort of root in that the word itself means to protect.
So again, for the monkhood life, right, this is relate to our life for this spiritual life. That's why we need to maintain this kind of development, development. Of course, it's not for everyone. And even the teacher, right? Even the teacher or professor or whoever in the role, the leadership, right? So we need to have some kind of proper development, proper conduct to lead others. Yeah, otherwise they would not follow us, especially for teacher. They may trust you. If you say something, if you play with them in a extreme way, so that's meaning. Okay, so you like to read the next one, the last one? Yeah.
Well, the reason for the covenant open only to be it is a custom of walking with Buddha. Secondly, I respect for the environment, and thirdly, I respect for the people. Thus, their king of the traditions of warriors and handed down among warriors alone. So it is the tradition of the recitation of the should take place only in the the Vinaya is a kind of one. He who has reached proficiency in it. Let not this pronunciation fall into the hands of those who are unwise, reaching to the wisdom and unfolding. Thus as there are priceless possessions of kings, such as of the world, so too the training traditions of the blessed ones for weaknesses are priced by their priceless possessions. That is why the recitation of the final is only.
What's clear on? What's clear?
It's like in martial arts, you only learn certain forms when you're ready for you don't just do the right we have
Yeah, and now what do you call this? cyber security, right? Right. So from some people they learn about those type of coding, right? To protect the computers, not for others. And even let's say the CPA, right? We have this CPA. This way they may know our social security number,
Yeah.
but then they have to discipline themselves. Otherwise, they in trouble to misuse or to abuse their their profession. It's will the same way in every situation. Then, okay. So yeah, please.
It has been said about intentional lying. It has been said by the Blessed One, intentional lying is an offense involving expulsion. Yet he also said, intentional lying is a light offense that must be confessed in a deep secret. How can these both be right? If a man were to strike another with his hand, what punishment would be given? If the victim refused to overlook the matter, he would fine the assailant. But if a man were to strike you, what punishment would be given? We would cut off his, this is the king talking, of course. We would cut off his hands and feet, scalp him, plunder all his wealth, and uproot his family.
Oh my.
That's in the past.
Yeah, I mean, even in modern times, I remember hearing that Stalin, the leader of the Soviet Union, got slapped by the president of Mongolia, and so in some way.
Echoes of savages.
So in Ireland, they still have that rule, right? That law?
In some Muslim
Some-
countries, you gotta be awfully careful.
Mhm.
And oh my goodness, yeah. It, you know, and really, there's some South Asian countries, you also, it may not be the most legal way, technically legal thing to happen to you, but I'm sure there's some places in South Asia you could lose a hand for stealing.
I mean, this is the king talking about if someone slapped him. the
Yeah.
king. So, I mean, even in this country, in this day and age, if you hit the president.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
you
you're
can,
done.
you- or you can
Probably,
even threaten
yeah.
the president.
Yeah, the Secret Service will get you. They'll make you disappear or something.
No,
Yeah, of
they don't
course.
take that way.
Of course, people in modern age right now, they of course, be more civilized than in the past. This happened in the past. And actually, in the past, in China and Vietnam, when the king want to execute one, they would kill what do you call 3 generation. You know about that? No. Hiroshima 2 generation. Himself, his children, and even his grandchildren. So that means they want to uproot, they want to cut off everything so that no one could be survived to harm the king. That's what happened. Of course, now it's out of root, it's out of our mind. In the West, they have that before. In ancient times, we have that one.
I don't think, I mean, not ceremonially, like, not that I've really ever heard, I mean,
An instance of it having happened, but it wasn't like a like state thing. It was
yeah.
The same families. Yeah.
I mean, public hangings were very real all the way up to pretty recent.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Mutual combat, dueling, etc.
There's still people that cheer, like go and, I mean, maybe not so recently, but I would say definitely within my lifetime, I remember when certain people were killed and people were standing outside and like cheering.
Lynching.
Lynching, okay.
What was it, Ted Bundy? Like, people like for parties when he was executed.
In the 60s, right? It's
Yeah,
happened in
and
the 60s,
I
right?
want to say that was like
No, that was
more recent, 80s.
Huh?
Yeah, I was glad, so
Yeah.
it was definitely.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I think the more people that make it okay, it makes everyone, it makes it easier for everybody else.
Yeah.
So it just takes a small group to say.
Yeah. Hooray. Yeah.
Yeah. Turns into a whole sport.
Yeah, with the KKK, right? Yeah. This happened in 60 during the Civil War. No, sorry, Civil War.
Civil rights.
So yeah, civil rights movement. Yeah, again, of course, that's why we're civilized now. We do not do this kind of thing, but still. Okay, so let's just finish up today then. And, all right.